We are going to be learning today Rambam and Hilchos Shaar Avos Hatumah, Perek Chof Halacha ALef, and Halacha Vav and Yud. And there's a contradiction in these halachas, and we're going to discuss that contradiction. We're also going to look back at Perek Tes Zion, I think it is, so, where he also talks about the similar concept, Perek Tes Zion. Yes. Okay, so let's the discussion here is, before we start, just to give a brief introduction, that there is such a concept of Reshus Hayuchid Tumah and Reshus Harabim Tumah. There is also a concept of Reshus Harabim Reshus Hayuchid in Shabbos. Now, although the same words are being used, they're totally different. The meaning of Reshus Hayuchid Tumah and Reshus Hayuchid in Shabbos has no shaykhs. Reshus Hayuchid in Shabbos is a confined area with a gated area around. At least the Kantvachim doesn't need the gated areas that we are used to today. And that's Reshus Hayuchid. Reshus Harabim Tumah is anything more than a few people, 3 people, including the guy and excluding the guy, but the idea is the same. It's 3 people. Okay, so there is really very little to do between Reshus Hayuchid of Shabbos and Reshus Hayuchid of Tumah. Reshus Harabim of Shabbos, Reshus Harabim of Tumah. However, the Rambam in Perek Chof Halacha ALef starts off with a statement: Kol Mokim Shahu Reshus Harabim L'Inyan Shabbos Kachu Reshus Harabim L'Inyan Tumah. So the Shulchan Osid, which is written by the Shulchan on Himyonim that are not negated to today yet, they will be negated hopefully very soon. Simen Kuf Nun Zayin Siv Beis. Right, so ain't about there should say and there should say it might be Shabbos. And he explains all these very interesting cases, and he says, of course, that's not the same thing. And he writes, Indian Tumah Mikri Reshus Harabim Kol She'ein Mokem Star. It's not a place of hiding. Shekam B'nei Adam Holkim Sham. Reshus Hayuchid Mikrak Mokem Star. It's a place that people don't go. So it can be legally a Reshus Hayuchid, but not the Gabe Tumah. No, the Gabe Shabbos. And then he continues later in that siman of Kuf Nun Zayin Sif Gimel. The Ram writes, "Kol Mokem Reshus Harabim L'Inyan Shabbos Kachu Reshus Harabim Tumah." He says it's true. Because if it's Reshus Harabim L'Inyan Shabbos, it's going to be Reshus Harabim Tumah. But it doesn't mean that it has to be like that. Now, it can be Reshus Harabim Tumah, not Reshus Harabim Shabbos. It's a nice answer, but it's not. It's a difficult answer. Why in the world would the Rambam stress this a lot? Okay. Stress? Is that it? Now let's go to Halacha Vav in the Rambam. Right? The Rambam has it. Habiko amukefes get. Listen to this. A bika is an area where you plant stuff, and the Rambam will explain later. We're going to see, and people don't. It's made only for the workers to go in there, and there are times when workers go in, and times that they just stay back because it's time of growing. And Mukefes get to be Meishagishamim in the times of the rainy season where you don't do anything. The Shabbos, total Reshus Hayuchid. Now for Shabbos there are other conditions, but otherwise it'll be a Carmelist. But halachically it's Reshus Hayuchid. Now listen to this. If it doesn't have a wall, because Tumah is not totally in walls. Now here goes a halacha that rocks the world. Uvika she'avru aleho b'moisak shomim. A bika that the days of rain passed, which means the Reshus Hayuchid period passed. It's in the summer too. And then he explains when is summer, when is winter, and that's when is Yimeshach. This halach is a pella. Pella is even greater, as we're going to see in the next halach. Halachiyut. Not the next halacha, but the halacha that I'm bringing next. Right. Mokim shahoyi Reshus Hayuchid. The Nas, Reshus Harabim. The Chof of the Nas, Reshus Hayuchid. Again, place that was Reshus Hayuchid. Came Reshus Hayuchid. Came back to be Reshus Hayuchid. Keshahu Reshus Hayuchid. Sveikai Tomei. Reshus Harabim. He just said, Bika Shaar Alavi Metak Shavim. Stays to be a Reshus Hayuchid Leila. And here he says it goes according to the time. So they're getting what the Reshus is. Well, not my question. Yishayim asks this question. Not on the Rambam, they ask it on the Mishnayos. The source of this halacha is in a Mishnah in Masechet Taharos, Perek Vav, Mishnah ALef. Now, there two halachas are mixed together in that same Mishnah. Halacha number one, Mokim Shahoy Reshus Hayuchid, V'Naseh Reshus Harabim, Chozav V'Naseh Reshus Hayuchid, Reshus Hayuchid, Keshahu Reshus Hayuchid, Sveikai Tomei, Reshus Harabim, Sveikai Tomei. Okay. Then there's a second halacha. Listen to this. Hamesukon, a goisis, a guy who's about to die, or he's on his deathbed. Reshus Hayuchid. He's in Reshus Hayuchid. V'Itziyu Reshus Harabim. V'Chziru Reshus Hayuchid. They moved them around a little bit. I guess that was the way to make sure that he stays alive. If it's a suffix, if he died there, doesn't matter. Wherever you go, it depends on the place. Similar to the first halacha, where the place, but two different halachas. They have no little care. They don't have any shaykhs. What is this case? What is halacha? There's so many pshatim. What is going on? What the machlekes is? I don't want to even get into it now. I'm just showing you these two halachas. Now, the first halacha is interesting. The Rambam and Pirush Mishnah doesn't even talk about it. So the Rash, not addressing the Rambam, just says this halacha is the halacha of Meisak Shamim. That's later. Now, if it is the same thing, we understand why the Rambam doesn't explain it. But it doesn't fit the halacha in the way the Rambam at least holds the halacha. Okay, now where does the Rambam get this? It's not in the Mishnah. The Mishnah doesn't say that. The Mishnah by Bika doesn't say it either. And the Gemara Bava Basra, Kuf Nun Gimel on the days, Bika bi Moisa Chamo Reshus Hayuchid, Ureshus Hayuchid, Bika in the summer, where the workers are there, as the Rambam will explain. In Pirush Mishnayos, so there. However, Meisak Shomer should say Yochid L'Kam L'Kat. When is this said? All of Meisak Shomer. It hasn't yet come past the Meisak Shomer. Right? However, and that's the way that Rashbam learns, except that Rashbam adds one point. Rashbam says we're talking about a bika that has a geder. Since it has a geder, he says it's la'olam Reshus Hayuchid. Usvara ma'al yasi, it's a very good svara. Oy chumra d'Rabbanan. Now the chumra d'Rabbanan, I can understand. Svara ma'al yasi is hard to understand, but at least we're talking about a place that has a geder. Now, I'm not the only one that doesn't understand it. Place doesn't need to understand it. Taisus as a near a cloud. It doesn't make any sense to him. Ki eze svara he the kima shenig der vava le mazacham yushu avi yushu zayach avi le mazacham. And the kaidim shavi mazacham like the yushu zayach avi mazacham. Make up your mind. Is it yushu zayach or not? Does the gather make it yushu zayach? Does it not? So their answer is we're not talking about the Reshus. We're talking about a Tumah that was there at that time. And there's all different explanations of that. Again, there's so much on this. I'm not getting into it to trying to limit the time of what we're talking about just to get to the main point. The Ramban asks, nowhere does it say gather, so why is he putting in gather? And again, their main explanation is that it's talking about the Tumah. And the Rimigash explains this idea. He says like this: if the days of Geshamin and Tumah, well, the days of Geshamin passed, and the Tumah was there in that bik'ah, so since at the time it was Reshus Hayuchid, and there was Tumah there, it stays Reshus Hayuchid, even if later there came summertime. Now, had the new Tumah showed up now, says the Rimigash, in the summertime, it would be a din of Shusram. But since that Tumah was there already in the winter, we deal with it what it was then. But that's basically the idea behind the other opinions. Now, here comes a beautiful, beautiful approach. Shita Mekabet says, in the name of the Ravid. So it's always brought this idea in the name of the Ravid. But I also saw the Meiri says the same idea. Similar to the Rambam, to the Rashbam, and the Rambam maybe, but with it only works on a Drabanan level. And he says as follows. Talking about again, mechitzas. Now remember, the Rambam clearly said no. And it's like a carver, and it's a Tumah, and people passed it. It's not a place to hide, and that's what you learn from sight. But listen to this. Once it becomes Reshus Hayuchid, can't become back Reshus Hayuchid. It can't be now Tumah, now Torah. It doesn't make sense. The Gemara, the Mishnah, Mokim Shaar Reshus Hayuchid v'Reshus Hayuchid. It depends on what it is at the time. So you see, it can go back and forth. It's a beautiful word. You're talking about the walls came down. And now people are just walking in. And then you build it up again. So everybody can tell why now was Reshus Hayuchid, why now it's Reshus Hayuchid, and why now it's back Reshus Hayuchid. But Bika, nothing changes. It just, the dynamics changed. The weather changed, not the Bika. There, Im, Mishanim, listen to this, Tumasa, Vitarosa, Mizman, Lizman, Osa, Likukule, Valamila, the Rabbana, Kechuchet, Atullah. It's special to protect the halacha. Now, that would make sense with the Divrei Rashbam, when the Rashbam says, Chumru, the Rabbanu. But where does it come to Svara Ma'alyas? And in the Rambam, it's not mashma that it's the Rabbanon says it as Allah. It doesn't write no indication. To mention that the Aruch HaShulchan that we mentioned before in one of the Sifrim there asked on the Rambam, he doesn't understand the fact that in the summer people do go there. So even in the winter should be a Reshus Rambam. How do you lose the Reshus Rambam according to the Rambam? If you want to keep it all in one, keep it as a Reshus Rambam. Okay, so those are the discussions here. I want to go through slow the list of issues we have with the Rama, and perhaps offer a solution to the Rama. Now, I'm not going to tell you that the solution is clear that it's so, but it's a possibility. Issue number one: why does he have to make the statement? Shabbos, Tumah. If it's not real, it's irrelevant. It's not nothing to do one with the other. Now, this is not the first time he talks about Reshus. As we said, Perek Zayin, he writes, Kushem, Shaar Ubayalo, Shnayim, Kach, Sofik, Tumah, Shnayim. Two people consider a Sofik. But my Ishleish, you say, okay, Sofik, Masam Sham Tor, Kirishus Rabba. So he read it all, he spoke about it. Why is it coming here again? Also, what's the Chof? Kirishus Rabba. That's Reshus. That's the definition of Reshus by Tumah. Tumah has a different Reshus, not like Shabbos. Obviously, places this question on Rashi's Rashbam is a question on the Rambam, and more so because the Rambam is not talking together. The Ravid's stira is a stira on the Rambam because the Rambam being both halachas, and of course we have the Chashulchan's question. Why make it all Reshus Hayuchid? Make it all Reshus Rambam. And as we asked at the beginning, what is the two halachas and Tyrus brought together? What do they have to do with each other? Perhaps we can suggest that Perek Chof, at least the beginning of Perek Chof, Perek Zayin, are different concepts in Reshus. Now, I don't have a source for it. In other words, I don't have a source to say that where the Rambam got this from, although you can understand that he picked it up from the Mishnayos and these halachas, and from the Gemara the way he learned it, and with the contradiction of the two halachas. Yes, there is a special concept of Reshus Hayuchid, Reshus Harabim regarding Tumah. Yeah, and that's a relative thing. 3 people, 2 people. That's it. But then there is a halacha Perek Chof. If something is legally a Reshus Harabim, it is a Reshus Harabim for Tumah. Something that is legally a Reshus Hayuchid, totally. And obviously it doesn't, and it fits in Hilchos Seita, then it becomes a Reshus Hayuchid, bechefes of Reshus Hayuchid. Same thing with Reshus Harabim, and that's why he starts off Perek Chof Kol Makim Shur Reshus Harabim Yeshavos Gam Reshus Harabim Tumah. To stress, there is something called Reshus Harabim be'etzem, and that's the Chof Adimyan in Perek Zayin, that it's talking about a Reshus Harabim Seita. But it's not it's like the real Reshus Harabim. Now, there's a lot where he could have gotten it from. But that's not my job usually. As long as it can make sense that there are sources. Now, listen to this. When the Rambam describes why is a biko a Reshus Hayuchid be'etzem, so Aaron describes a big as follows: Pirush Mishnayos and Tyrus, Mishnah Zayin, what we spoke about. He writes, listen to this. The Rambam does not learn that people pass in the sun, but the workers use it. They prepare the grounds for planting. I remember this. It becomes a Reshus Harabim Tumah because people use it. Now, listen to the way he describes it. It says a bunch of things which seem to be superfluous. A person, nobody walks in there. And nobody uses it. Because walking there destroys it. Stop. He's got it. He said it along. Now, it goes a step further. וגם אין לאדם בעסק, מפני שכבר נחרשה ונזרע והגשמים יורדים תמיד, לנויסר אלא לצפוס לצמיחת הטוב עליו. What do we need that for? Ain't other perhaps that he's trying to say that on a bika, it's not only we don't go there, there's nothing there for a human being. I can't. It's intended not to go there. Not just don't go there because you're not damaging. It's the idea is to sit back and wait. Now, again, this is a chiddush. So perhaps in such a place that Rambam holds, there is chal, just like there's a chalais of Reshus Harabim, there is a chalais of Reshus Hayuchid on this list. Now, it's a Reshus Hayuchid Tumah. It may not, and it's probably it may not be a Reshus Hayuchid Shabbos because there's no walls, but it has a chalais Shem Reshus Hayuchid. It never either becomes a real Reshus Harabim. So therefore, the Rambam is saying, learns Pshat in the Gemara in Basra, that once it is Chal Hashem Reshus Hayuchid on this place, I mean, not a stam, this becomes a Chefetz of Reshus Hayuchid, it doesn't become Reshus Hayuchid anymore. But if it's just a numbers game, 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, that's not a Chefetz of Reshus Hayuchid. Only a bika that a person has nothing to do there. It's not made for people. That has a chalais shem Reshus Hayuchid. That's the way that Rambam understood the Gemara in Baba Basra. However, the place where it says Mokim Shahoy Reshus Hayuchid, that's what it was a place that had. Not to say that the walls fell down. It was a place that nobody went there. 2 people used to go there at most. And then it opened up. People go there. They stopped going there. That just depends on the time. Because that's a relative Reshus Hayuchid, not a Chefetz of Reshus Hayuchid. A bika, for what Rambam understands it, is a humanless place. And therefore it's Chal Hashem Reshus Hayuchid. The same idea is there's a Reshus Harabim l'Shabbos is because of Chefetz Reshus Hayuchid. Now, doesn't mean a Reshus Hayuchid l'Shabbos becomes Reshus Hayuchid l'Tumah. No. Reshus Harabim l'Shabbos, but that's why he mentions that halacha. That opens it up for this halacha to tell you that there is such a thing as a Chefetz Reshus Hayuchid, Chefetz Reshus Hayuchid. Now, what makes a Chefetz Reshus Hayuchid, what makes a Chefetz Reshus Hayuchid is not the same thing as, but the idea is based on that. Ulai. Seid gesund und stark. Everybody be well.